Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. And let me get my headphones in. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor real quick because we have a very important topic. All of our topics are important, but we have a very important topic this morning. Currently a trending topic in the media for property owners, for taxpayers alike, in reference to what is going on with Boston property taxes. So do me a favor and hit that like and share button and invite others into the Java Cafe this morning so we can be sure that you're hearing directly from someone who was in it. This young man, for the past 2 years, was the lead of the Ways and Means Committee and has a very good idea about what's going on in reference to revenue and finances in the city of Boston. So he is here in the background. I'm going to let him know that we're ready to bring him in. He's a city councilor, so he's taking as many minutes as he can to conduct business before he comes on live today. But I really appreciate it. You all know when I see, incorrect, inaccurate information online and it's being propagated in a manner that it's trending, I reach out to the people that can bring us the clarity around that, and having access to these elected officials and whatnot, and not bringing them into a space for accuracy, for me, would be an issue. And so that's why I move and do the way that I do, because I have access to these folks and I can say, hey, can you come and let the community know what the real deal is? And so that's what we're going to do today in reference to Boston property taxes. We're going to check in on our good brother, Councilor Worrell, because it's interesting being an elected official right now, being a black man of immigrant descent and just a human being in this country. So I I saw that laugh when I said the last part. How are you, Councilor?
Doing well, Jimmy. Thanks for having me, and shout out to everyone in the cafe today.
I appreciate you. I think I hit you Monday. I seen a lot of information online, and I also saw that you're one of, outside, I believe, the mayor. And if you know of others, please share with us. But you're one of a few that are assertive and aggressive in media, on social media, about this thing with the 13% pending for property taxes. And so before I get into that, I referenced that, jokingly, being a human, you're a black man, being here in this city, it's very interesting, and in this country. And so I have to ask you, with all due respect, your honor, the Honorable City Councilor Brian Worrell, how's Brian doing? How is Brian doing in the fight? Just got off election season. How are you doing as Brian?
Yeah, no, thank you for the question, and I'm doing well. It's the holiday season. It's one of my favorite seasons. It's an opportunity to be around family and friends and loved ones, and it's also an opportunity that we get every year to just give back. So I'm doing well. Grateful for the opportunity to serve the community that I was born and raised in, and that I have so much love for, and being reelected to a third term. So very grateful and honored to have that opportunity. But all is well. I'm doing good. My son, he's a young boy running around, and he keeps me busy and keeps a smile on my face. So I'm always delighted just to see like his development. But again, always, just happy to do the work, especially around the holiday seasons when you really see it showing up in families' lives and like in a real way.
Absolutely. I definitely see that you're, oriented with family. I've seen you in community with your wife and your son as well. And so I know that is a part of the advocacy, that you're a father, you're a husband. And I will name this in the context of what we're getting ready to talk about. I had to remember, because I've even messed with you early on about this. You used to be a business owner.
Right.
And did you have or were leasing commercial property at any point? Have you had involvement with commercial property?
I lease like a small office space.
Okay.
And been in the real estate business since I was 19 years old.
Okay. So I asked that, counselor, because there's context that you have here from experience that is not just, which is a good thing, looking out for residents, and I presume you're a homeowner as well. So you do have at least some experience to be able to allow your lens to be informed by that experience as being in real estate. And so let's just jump right in. Carlos Enriquez yesterday set some context. I've explained and reiterated to the people that in October of 2003, Mayor Wu was on here and she was talking about commercial properties on Seaport. And the way she was talking, I literally was like, time out. Are you predicting some sort of financial crisis or something? We're aware of what happened in 2024 with the Senate, and I'll get you off screen so you don't get in no trouble. Nick Collins and some others that, didn't allow the proposal to go through. And as a result, now we potentially have residents that will take a lot of the brunt of this potential 13% tax hike. Did I do a good job at level setting to where we are now?
Right. No, you're right. This is the second year where we are seeing double-digit increases, and that's due to the fact that our commercial values here in the city of Boston, because of the work from home, a lot of people are not going into work, and then also the economic conditions. We're starting to see less commercial values take a dip. And when that happens, the residential, because we have 4 different property classes, the residential portion, which is made up of all of our homeowners, they then take on that increased burden that the commercial properties no longer are responsible for.
And that's something that the mayor has talked about recently and over last year too, when this came up. And so what I want to ask is, you came up with the proposal. I have not heard the term Proposition 2.5. I was a little kid sitting in church and remember the guy at I don't know if it's a church business meeting or community meeting. And this man was up talking about what it would do to our community. And so there's difference of opinion about it, but 40, I believe, Carlos said it was 1980. So we are, 45, whatever, Brian. I mean, whatever, counselor. 45 years ago, this came up. And so give us level set for us where you are with this and what you propose because this is a revenue issue for the city of Boston, to be very honest, but it's also an issue of a burden on people who are on fixed incomes and things like that. So level set the impact of a potential 15% and what you're trying to do to combat and counter it.
Right. So, you did a good job on kind of describing the history of it. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, our Boston Property Tax Code was established, right? Whether it was the creation of Prop 2.5, which just means that we are capped on how much revenue we can collect from property taxes year over year, but also the creation of 4 different classes on where we can pull property tax from. So that's residential, commercial, open space, and then also industrial. And what we have seen is that, through our analysis, is that the residential is made up of all properties that provide housing. So whether you are a condo, a single family, a 3-family, or even 100 units, you are getting taxed at the same tax rate. However, you're not getting appraised at the same tax rate. Through the same lens. So something that is more than 30 units is getting appraised through a different lens than a single family or condo unit. And then also, as we have seen, is that you're not appreciating as fast as, the other, right? So we saw that through our studies that a single family home is appreciating faster than a 100-unit building. So we see the disparities and the inequities in our Boston Property Tax Code. And because of that shift, when something is, when the commercial is declining, more goes onto the residential. But even within that class, right, because single families are being assessed at a higher value, and they're appreciating at a higher rate, they are then paying more than our per unit than our large apartment buildings.
In all fairness to you, because I do the same thing when I'm trying to explain something. I look up, I close my eyes, and I go like this.
Yeah.
Former Rep Carlos Enriquez, I saw you two were communicating on social media, did say that people like yourself and the mayor are wonks, nerds, and into this, and could do a deeper dive. But it is very complicated. But what I just heard from you, and I'll be honest, I've stayed away from this term tax equity, partially because I just don't feel like dealing with the trolls. My thought was that, now, this ain't got nothing to do with equity and y'all throwing that term around. But what I'm hearing from you that it seems what you're proposing is more of an equitable process, correct?
Absolutely. That's how I see it, that the Boston Property Tax Code needs to be reformed, and it needs to be reformed to rebalance who benefits off of the tax code. And right now, who benefits is not our small landlords who offer so much affordable housing, or our homeowners that are occupying their space. We see that those corporate landlords who are raking in, millions, a whole lot of money, and raising rent year over year are the ones who are benefiting on how our Boston Property Tax Code is structured. Again, they are paying less per unit than some of our single family homes. And then also, we see that their appreciation and their value is not going up nearly as fast as our single family and condos here in the city. So we think that there needs to be a rebalancing and a shift to make sure that everyone is paying their fair share.
So this is nothing new. And listening to you, I'm like, systemic systems to keep.
Right.
I don't know if this was aligned with red zoning and things like that, but these are systemic issues. And counselor, and I don't want to get too much into politics, but we are at a point in Boston where I believe politics are changing, which may allow for some long-term old school policies that were not. You're shaking your head, so you know where I'm going. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I absolutely do agree. And as you stated earlier in this conversation, this tax code was created in the late 70s, early 80s. And as our properties and inventory, our housing inventory has changed throughout the times, I do believe it warrants a second look, especially as housing prices have ballooned, right? I don't think that, I remember my grandmother saying that she can't believe that the house that she bought, right, $10,000 is now worth, at that time, like $400,000. So we need to find different ways on how to protect our homeowners, those who are using housing, not as a business, but as a place of, for a home, to try to keep as much money in their pocket as everything else around them continues to rise. And one way to tackle that is to make sure that our tax code is keeping or trying to keep as much money in their pocket. And then we're taking a look at those who are using, housing as a business, right? We need to make sure that they get taxed as such.
The thing is, and you can, answer this too. When this came up last year, someone was talking to me about the fact that you have some commercial, technically by the categories that the state has defined, I believe, thanks to Prop 2.5, anything over a certain amount of units is considered commercial.
No. So yes. So in the Boston Property Tax Code, there is, as long as you are providing housing, you are considered residential, right? So if you're providing, if you have 2 units, you're considered a residential and you get taxed, right, at the same rate as a single family home, right? And even if you have 100 units, 500 units, you are getting taxed at the same rate as that single family home.
So that made it very plain here. And it's the balance. You said that for people that are in business,
right.
if you got a 6-unit spot, you're in business,
Right.
So to put it in plain terms, what you're saying is, is there a number in your proposal? I've seen
Right.
the term luxury.
Yes.
Is there a number?
Yes. In my proposal, we think that anything that is over 30 units should be taxed at a different, should be reclassified as commercial property.
Okay.
Right. But also, being in the real estate business, I understand that in order to purchase something that is over, right, 30 units, you need a commercial mortgage, right? And then also our assessing department is assessing and evaluating these properties as commercial as well. So they're being purchased as a commercial building, they're being assessed as a commercial building. However, they are getting taxed as a residential rate. So we think that it needs to be reclassified and defined as a commercial property.
If I understand the process right, what you're proposing is changing classification of assessment, which will then be some level permanent unless somebody comes and tries to do this again.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yep. So right now there's 4 different classes, and there's a description for each class, right? There's a description on what residential property contains, and right now it's everything that, as long as you're providing housing, except for hotels and motels, right, you're a residential property. So there's no size or amount of, right, there's no scale to it, right? And then there's industrial and then there's commercial. So right now our residential classification, or the definition of what belongs in a residential class, is everything from a condo to 500 units of housing.
Yeah, that's interesting. And as much as we thought it was going to be interesting trying to break it down, you are doing a good job at breaking it down. May I ask you, Counselor, away from so 2 things there. One is this a potential backup plan separate from what Mayor Wu is working on in the Senate? And then my second question is, because of the relationship and home rule petition and all that, or you tell me if you don't have to go through, would this classification then have to go through the state approval as well?
Yes. So I'm full support of the mayor's plan.
Yep.
Yep. And the mayor's plan is a short-term plan. Okay. I believe it. Right. It's only for a certain period of time.
Yep.
Right? This is more of a permanent fix or a long-term solution to our tax code to continue to ease the burden and responsibility off of those small landlords and those home owners that are occupying their home. And also because we know that a large portion of our housing stock, right, is under 30 units.
Yep.
And a lot of the people who are providing affordable housing, like affordable rents, are those that are, 2-family, 3-family homeowners. A lot of our affordable rents come from, those individuals who are owning 2- and 3-family homes. So on top of that, yes, we still need to go to the State House to get approval of, this reclassification of these homes.
So if there are entities and powers that be and individuals that are fighting the temporary thing that the mayor is trying to do, right, what respectfully, energy isn't towards you. What makes you think that you're going to get the support from the State House and these people that are fighting this other proposal to do this long-term proposal that lends toward tax equity? Do you think you have, and we did see he's not in the Senate, but we did see the rep on, I think all the way from Cabo Verde, talk about his favorite city councilor is on right now. But you have him as a rep to support, presumably, and others. Do you think you're going to face resistance with a long-term plan that proposes real tax equity?
Right. And everything's a challenge. And I think that it's worth the start of the conversation to point out the inequity and then see, where we can move it. Right. If we can move it through the House and the Senate, that'll be great. But as we've seen back in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of our property tax code was created through a ballot measure. So, we are happy to start the conversation just to get it going and point out and identify what we see and how we can create something that benefits more homeowners and small landlords that are helping provide the affordable housing stock in the city. And hopefully, you know, our state colleagues do agree and willing to have those conversations. However, you know, at the end of the day, this is about, you know, the Bostonians, the people, right? So we want to make sure that they also know their power on if they will want to continue to move forward on making this law. Another option that we do have is creating a ballot measure.
Council, you know more than anyone that everything doesn't go on social media. Everything is not, you know, there is the balance of if it's not documented, it didn't happen, but also there's some people that move in silence. And so I'm going to ask this question with that understanding. Outside of your brother, do you feel that there is support in the House and the Senate for what you're proposing from those that are representing Boston districts?
Yeah, we've been having a lot of conversations, and I will tell you this is that we have a lot of support from community advocates, right? Whether it's Maha, you know,
you didn't understand my question.
I heard your question.
Oh,
We do believe that, you know, our elected officials over at the State House will see the inequities and the benefits that this could provide our homeowners and the stabilization that it will bring to our, you know, commercial and also the benefits that it can bring to our small landlords, which will hopefully be passed on to our renters as well.
We had a nice conversation yesterday with former Rep. Enriquez, who has a whole lot of context around this about hope and belief.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to hope and believe as well. And so hopefully that hope and belief will turn to assertive, aggressive, demonstrated action from all at the State House that should be supporting you and the mayor around this piece, especially those that by presumption can much more identify with the impact of the inequities to which you referred from the 70s to the 80s until now. So that's my commentary on that.
Yeah, and I will always encourage listeners and constituents to always reach out to their elected official to let them know, you know, whether it's the home rule petition that we have at the State House right now that will provide immediate and real relief to our homeowners, to encourage them to act on it. But also as my home rule petition makes its way through City Hall, to not only lend your voice to that conversation, but to also reach out to your city councilor and let them know how you feel about the property tax reform that I am also proposing. So continue to use your voice, continue to advocate, because, you know, you are our boss, right? You're the ones who vote us in, and we should be listening to our constituents.
Speaking of constituents, Council, I'm going to allow you the opportunity to cross over with the constituent by presumption that I'm sure you know and have seen her in community as well. And I would like to make sure, and I'm sure you know this is an introduction, but Errin Davis from the Davis system is on as well. And so I don't know if you saw, but she recently just became technically an elected official to the state Democratic Party. So
congrats, Errin. And you've been doing amazing work. You and your husband out here for, you know, many years. So wish you continued success in all that you do.
And Errin?
Oh, Counselor. Look at me following Jimmy. Counselor, I appreciate that.
I appreciate both of you. And Counselor, as things progress and you know, keep us informed. And this platform is here to make sure that as, you know, attempts to misinform community and mislead community with some intent and some by mistake, that we make sure that the accurate information is out there. So thank you for being with us today. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you for the platform. And then also just thank you to everyone that engaged on that post. I think it's beautiful when people are diving into policy, something as wonky as Boston property tax code, right? You know, it's not, you know, glamorous. It's not, you know, something big, but, you know, to see people have, you know, comments on the tax code, I enjoyed it. And that's why I engaged so much in that conversation. So shout out to everyone who wrote their comments and their ideas. And, you know, that's the level of civic engagement that we need year round. So when you see me post something online, like, please, if there's any questions that you have, comment on it, and I'm gonna do my best to respond.
Counselor, thank you. And again, keep us abreast and not only of updates, but also when there needs to be actions, we need to make those phone calls.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you, sir. Errin, how you doing?
Hey, I saw you try to do the lean in on my counselor. That's my move. You did the lean in his
My move is off to the side. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to try to keep a flow. And well, I'll just go ahead and say why you're here. Congratulations, Errin. First of all, I don't think I was aware that and I know I just said to Brian that it's good to move in silence and things like that, but to see it pop up on social, I didn't even know.
I'll take that as the shade and the commitment because it was meant. Thank you, Jenny.
It was not shade. I was just really happy and surprised. And so we'll go to how you're doing, but I wanted to allow you the opportunity as a young woman, somebody who's politically astute. You are, part business owner, and not to put your business out there, but recently purchased. And what is your perspective on what's going on with this property tax, Errin? And you can speak to impact, or you can speak to your observation of the process and things, but I'd love to hear, because there's a lot of men talking, so let's keep that 100. I'd love to hear from a woman. I always try to be balanced.
Well, none of these men voices can top the main woman, our mayor, who's talking about it, but continue.
Okay, this is going to be one of those shows. And I understand from your husband, he let me know you got a hard stop at like 10:59. And he said it twice yesterday. I know it because our counselor switched the time on us. And I had to check with Anthony for you, which is different. And Anthony said you got a hard stop. So we're going to stay focused, but I'm not going to go there. What is your perspective? Because you know that we've been talking about this for about 2 years. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so one, I agree with Councilor Worrell about the fact that there are so many people jumping into this conversation. I think that Boston has always been a place where people want their opinion to be heard. And I think that the way that our mayor and our city council is going about trying to engage the people who don't usually get to engage or voices aren't heard has been beautiful. Obviously, I am not a homeowner, but it is very sad to see how much this is going to impact our community and pricing going up. Boston has already been rated like top 10 most unaffordable cities in the country, and increasing property taxes only continue to contribute to that. I believe that the initiative that our councilor is putting forth will help directly try to support some of that, to alleviate some of that for us, especially if an initiative at the State House doesn't go through. There's other ways that we can try to mitigate this problem. And I appreciate that our counselor isn't just sitting around hoping let's see something happens at the State House, but at least putting forth something that can be an alternative.
It's interesting because I can go a couple places with your answer there.
Yeah, I can tell.
You started it. So you are able to speak to policy process to getting people to a point where they're making policy. But let's go back and what, Errin, about you, I've said to some people, I think I said on the show the other day, used to be a DJ and stuff like that. There were times where I'm going through with equipment and Errin comes over and tries to help. And I'm looking at her like she don't know what she's talking about. She's like, excuse me. I used to carry speakers and equipment and all that. So Errin, from
DJ Boom, don't forget it, on the ones and the twos.
So from that, what you can still do, and there's nothing that is opposite of being an elected official. I think a DJ gives good experience how to rally and gather people and get them on the same page. Who is it? I don't think we've ever had this conversation publicly. Like, who is Errin? What drove you? What informed you? What got you into politics. I know there's an influence by the young lady by the name of Cynthia that we have to mention, because I know she's probably watching as well. But tell us, like, Errin, what got you to this place? What drives you? What took you to DC? And then we'll get into post DC and being a business owner and all of that. But who is Errin?
Yeah, I feel like I've never started my story with talking about my ancestors, and that's how I wanted to start today's story. I am the product of my grandmother, Jean Mayhew, who helped her local town in Trinidad start their first independence march after Trinidad gained independence within our lifetimes. I am the product of uh, a soldier within our revolution who fought for our freedom against the British here in America as a African American soldier, but then who left to go to Tobago. That's how my origin family starts on my father's side there. Um, I am the product of people who have given to their community, who helped start the Boston Carnival, who helped found Unity Sports and Culture Club. Um, I have been the fabric of Caribbean American culture through and through, even before I knew it. My dad is coming up on his retirement from the Carpenters Union since the age of 19 next year. So I'm the product of union workers in a union household. I was on picket lines long before I even knew what I was doing. I just thought I was spending time with my dad. Um, my mother was in the Boston Teachers Union, still works for Boston Public Schools, has given so much to our community time and time again in the way that she chooses to show up and do events, and has taught me how to do events. Yes, go ahead. I know you're going to give her a shout out or something. Go ahead. Foxy Roxy.
I wanted to say, you're not right. That's my husband. Go ahead. Hi, mother.
It, that is who I am, the product of. I was thinking back after having the honor of being elected that the first time I ever got recognized for my community work was at the age of 14, where the Boston Police Department Commissioner Gross actually gave me a community award. And no, so long ago, so long ago.
Wait a minute, that's not that long ago, because and then it is that. Oh, Errin, go ahead. Sorry,
I know I'm turning 30 in like a month, guys. So for me, it's like that long ago.
A whole 30.
Yeah,
Please
a
proceed.
whole 30. But yeah, my first community award for the work in which I was doing was at 14. I hosted my first community event at age 16, walking around my Bowdoin Geneva corridor, collecting money from local businesses, telling them that we needed a community block party. And getting resources from my community in my city council. And that is where I met the co-chair of the local Democratic Ward Committee, who suggested that I also do voter registration at this event. And because of him suggesting that I have voter registration and meeting me at the age of 16, before I could even vote for anyone, I joined my local Democratic Ward Committee. And that's really where my official work in politics began. And then going off to senior year of high school, having the opportunity to work for then City Councilwoman Ayanna Presley, and getting to meet her and really seeing the work and effort she was putting in to change our community. And then I know she doesn't necessarily popularize this, but when I found out that she wasn't from here and she was from Chicago, I'm going to give a shout out to Chicago because we have so many people from Chicago running our city. But when I found out she wasn't even from here, I said to myself, I can do this. If she can do this and she's not from here, but yet she can have such a major impact. Because I saw someone who looked like me, I said that I could become the first youngest female African-American mayor of Boston. And slight Kim Janey took it from me, slight the mayor took it from me, but combination of both still hasn't happened. So who knows? It could still happen.
I am excited to hear, and I've known bits and pieces, just knowing you and seeing you in community throughout the last few years, but hearing it in sort of a chronological process. And let me just, I'm trying, Errin, you're on, so I can go ahead and say this. To whoever your little digital blockchain currency is commenting over on YouTube, what are you doing? So people raising monies for Black Power. You got one more time to make a comment, and you're not going to make any more comments. So anyway, it's interesting to hear the chronological thing of what you've done, and then also, you know, I know a little bit of the story. We got to give a shout out to the good brother that you met, I believe, working in AP's office.
But that came after post college. I just got you up to high school.
High school. Okay, so now get us to college, and that piece, and we can go from there.
Yeah, so college, had the opportunity to work at Harvard Kennedy School for the Center for Public Leadership, had the opportunity to work for Senator Sonia Chang Diaz on her campaign, and in her Senate office as her education fellow. I had the opportunity to work for Emerge Massachusetts, helping elect a Democratic woman to office. I had many in between jobs. I was a club promoter. I sold puppies. I had a co-op job at my college. I did everything. I had like 4 or 5 jobs always at one time. Shout out to my parents for getting me through college debt free. So I wasn't going to ask them for $1. But I worked all of these jobs. And then as I was graduating college, I was fortunate to win the congressional scholarship from my political science department at Salem State University. Shout out to Cynthia for her support. And then I also won the scholarship from our Massachusetts Democratic Party, the John F. Kennedy Scholarship, which with those two combined allowed me to go work in DC for free for the Caucus on Black Women and Girls. And shout out to Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman from New Jersey, who just announced that she will also not be running for re-election next year. But from working in her office, then Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley was running for Congress, and I had thought that I was going to have a job in DC. I was not coming back home. That was my plan, but that did not happen. I came back home unemployed, and I was very much kicking myself in the dirt. But thank God for my Democratic Party again, because my Democratic Party came in and they paid me to actually work for Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and then State Rep Liz Miranda at the same time. And through that coordinated efforts, I got to support both of those women, and both of those women offered me jobs. But Senator Miranda pulled her job offer once she found out Ayanna offered me a job and was like, "You need to get out of here." And so I moved to DC. And within the first couple of weeks of working for Ayanna, she let me know that there was a Morehouse Kappa man that was coming to her office that was going to be my husband one day. And that is how it's crazy how the tables have turned, because when I first met him, he was reporting to me. And now I for sure report to him.
I've been saying the business owner. Oh man. So we definitely got to shout out our good brother, Anthony Davis, the Davis system. Just give us about 2 minutes of being involved with one of the most historical races in the city when it comes to a federal position. What at that time Councilor Presley did. And then there was some also involvement with one of the people that you said kind of disrupted your first goal, you know, as far as mayor. Give us about 30 seconds of from that to, and I believe the Davis system was formed before the wedding, but I was sitting here getting ready to try to find the pictures. But you know, tell from I know the chronological, so I'm trying to stay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Well, now I'm like, you gave me so many questions. Okay.
I know, Errin, you know.
I want to back up and say, Anthony was working for the Congresswoman as an in-between job as he was going to go work for Elizabeth Warren for president. So he was the Congresswoman's driver. And everyone knows I don't have my driver's license. So Anthony used to finish driving the Congresswoman and stay in the office to drive his coworker home and hang out with me. And on one of those drives, I told him that I wanted to be the youngest female African-American mayor of Boston. And his words to me was, if you marry me, you don't have to hire me to be your campaign manager. And that was when I knew that was really going to be my man. But
I can just hear Anthony saying that like real casually. Well, you hire me, you ain't gonna have to pay me. Exactly.
Exactly how it was. So yeah, fast forward to the Anthony worked for Elizabeth Warren, then Joe Kennedy, and we were long distance that entire time, and me wanting to come back home mid-pandemic, after Anthony is successfully winning Michelle Wu's first race, and yes, Kim Janey getting to take the interim seat. Anthony had decided, it was time for him to start this legacy of wanting to start a consultancy firm, especially when so many other consulting agencies were trying to hire him at that time. And I was working for Boston Public Schools. Anthony told me to give him 6 months. And if in 6 months he wasn't able to get this business off the ground, that he would go get a job. And in 6 months, instead of him canceling and ending the data system, I put in my 2 weeks notice at Boston Public Schools, and I was coming over full time. So just thank you to my husband for giving me the space and opportunity. I've never been a woman who wanted to find a husband that kept me up in the house with kids and cooking and cleaning. That's never been me. My Instagram handle is Lady with Ambition for a reason. So I appreciate that I found a husband that was able to give me a job and opportunity and space to grow in this level and give me a C-suite role. So thank you, Anthony, for that.
Hold on for 1 second, because Anthony's messing up just a little bit, and I love my mother, and he came in and he doing protocol. I'm looking for him in the comments, and the first one is, look, good morning, Mom. I'm waiting for the one for Errin.
Everybody knows the order of respect. You come in, you say hello, Java family. You say hello, Mama Java. It's okay. I know where the respect lies, in the Java Cafe.
But she's giving you all love as well, and observe such an awesome, amazing couple. The Davis system. And Errin, for me, it's Testimony Tuesday, and the story and whatnot is, the testimony. But and again, I've been around you, I've heard bits and pieces, but I wanted to be intentional about the community knowing that us pundits as strategists and operatives, we know. But the community, by seeing you in community and whatnot, I'm not sure if they knew of what grounds you and what motivates you and pushes you to be in this space, to talk policy, and now can you define for us, what is your role? You're representing Ward 19, correct?
18.
Or as 18. Oh shoot, don't let me get
No, I think that what I appreciate you letting me tell my story, because what I hope was clear in my story is how many times the Massachusetts Democratic Party has been a part of my story, from joining in at 15 my ward committee to he still has game when he's ready. Joining my local work committee at 16, to winning the John F. Kennedy Scholarship, to the support they gave me when I was doing voter registration at my first community event. The Democratic Party here in Massachusetts has always been a part of my career trajectory. And I have been so appreciative for the work in which they are doing. And so I would say a part of the reason why I was a little bit more quiet about it this time around is because I actually ran earlier this year. In February, I ran for a state committee. It was me against 4 or 5 other people. but it was I had 1 week, only 1 week to like whip votes. And that was during the week I was in Brazil. So I did not really make any calls. Unfortunately. However, I still came in third place. And many people, without making barely any calls, I still came in third. And many people called me afterwards and really pushed me to, whenever the opportunity opened up again, to try again, including the chair of our party. And so I just want to thank Chair as well for continuing to motivate me and support. However, this time around, Sandy Bagley, who is an amazing legacy builder here in Boston and has been in politics, she has hit her 20-year seat on the committee, which now means she's a lifetime member and means her seat is open for re-election. And she was actually the chair of Ward 15 when I joined at 16. So she has seen my trajectory grow from literally the little girl to who I am now. And she called me and she asked me personally to rerun again with the support of her and who is known as the Fab Six. I can list all of the Fab Six on the committee, but it is a group of fabulous Black women who have all literally was meeting multiple times a week pre 9 a.m. to have meetings, strategy calls on how to get me elected, who I needed to make the calls to. It was just extremely supportive. And now the Fab Six has turned into Fab Eight because we also have another woman, Judge Judith Dilday, who is now also on the Judicial Committee. So we both were supported by the Fab Six and was able to make it in. And so Black women are holding more seats on our Democratic State Committee.
So you got recruited and ran.
I personally believe that you should never run unless you are recruited. So unless there's other people asking you to run, unless you have a community swell of people wanting you to run, you shouldn't be running. And so I had the swell, but I also know I have a partner. So I came to my husband. I gave my husband the layout, asked my husband what he thought. And once I got his okay, it was a campaign run from there.
For mayor, huh?
I said it was a campaign run from there. Don't get me in trouble with Michelle. I want no problem.
I literally thought I'm looking at the comments. I get distracted. I literally thought. Okay, sorry. I wanted to highlight a good sister who has a good. She was in City Hall when I was in City Hall. So to give some context and just from community and whatnot, Java. First of all, Rhonda, don't ever call me Java with Jimmy, because you know me as Jimmy. Java with Jimmy. I love this woman. She's a great example for our young ladies. And so I just wanted to share that with you, with a whole bunch of other comments in here. Milton, who I love her.
Thank you, Milton.
Did you see the other part?
I didn't, but he's just saying that because I gave him I made sure he got his awards and stuff. The best of the Black.
Listen, I want to, because as I told you, this good brother here, and talk about he had game. He did let me know 3 times in the convo yesterday. We only talked for 10 seconds, no sir. That you have a hard stop at 11, and I want to respect that. And also, I'm always I used to try to jump off our calls to give Errin time back, and we ain't even finished yet. She's like, you trying to hop off the call, and we ain't. But I really, again, thank you for coming in, because I was intentional about wanting people to know, because I don't believe, Errin, this is your last run for anything. And so I want to, and Obi is in here. Obi, we need to get her scheduled for a headshot.
Obi knows he got drums
right
now.
With the flag behind her. With the flag behind her. But shout out to Boston's photographer in the building that captures all of us, makes us all look so good. But I really believe that one day we'll look back on this episode and have some context that people can really see that what grounds you and what rooted you in this service. I had one banner up here that said, where is it? From service to community to co-owning a social impact firm. But then also, being technically, you are an elected official. You got elected.
Yeah, when somebody told me that, they were like, technically you're considered an elected official now. And I'm like, Okay, my name's been on the ballot before. For people have voted for me to be delegate to the state convention, things of that nature. I've been on a public ballot before, but it is interesting to see it. And I wouldn't mind, Jimmy, if you want to start calling me Madam State Committee Member, that wouldn't bother me at all.
Do not say that jokingly because you know the trolls. Anyway, they
But
don't
there
get.
is one thing I did want to explain about what this means. To just give a quick example, so there is there's the National Democratic Convention, but there's also a state convention, and candidates to statewide office like Congress or governor or attorney general have to get delegates to support them at the convention here in Massachusetts in order to get our party endorsement and get party funds and support. So, for example, one of the first things that I will vote on in our next committee meeting is there's a 15%, which equates to about 600 votes across the state that you need to get of delegates in order to gain support. And what is an upcoming vote is whether or not that 15% number should be decreased, whether it should be increased or it should exist at all. And that's something that's important to me because when you think about communities of color who aren't necessarily communities who super voters who are going out to vote in every election, they won't get the electeds coming into their caucuses, coming to their ward committees to talk with them about issues that matter to them if this number is lowered or if the number has become non-existent because they no longer need to hear your voice because there's no longer an incentive to get your vote in something that is different from the general election. And so just an example of the things that the Democratic State Committee votes on that will have an impact and can have a major impact on communities of color. And those are the reasons why I vote, because I want to have a stake in that. And I want to be able to support our democratic values that have supported me throughout my life.
Is it again? Every time you're on, I get my lens gets just a little more sharpened about you. And a few other people that are seeing and observing the same thing. Miss Teresa, there's so much more to come from Errin Davis. She is a force, and I'm here for it. Rhonda said, "Yes, madam." And Errin is in the 18th precinct, Ma.
Yes, I represent Hyde
18th
Park.
ward. 18th ward.
Boston's 18th ward. Yeah.
Boston's 18th ward. So,
Mhm.
and that's according to the Democratic Party, which is very different from District 5. That's Hyde Park. So it's a
Yes,
lot.
yes.
Um,
Also, there will be some more seats opening up. So if you are interested in getting more involved in your democratic process, there will be seats opening up. The John F. Kennedy Scholarship that I won is currently taking applications. If you know of any college or high school students who are interested in potentially interning with our party or receiving scholarships in order to continue to do work on campaigns or in elected office.
it's it I got a little distracted because I looked up at the clock and I'm not trying to have your husband text me. But just to see that, this is what's supposed to happen. You just got elected, and here you are talking about, hey, there's another seat open. Holla at your girl if you're interested. That is what's supposed to happen as we elevate and ascend, in servitude. So Errin, we definitely, I'll say this as a big brother. Bishop Bragg taught us that the more we ascend, we actually become more of a servant. You know what I mean? And so as you ascend into these positions and make strides and make moves and whatnot, keep that spirit of servitude, and you're gonna go real far in ensuring that our people go far as well. So I did it. It's 10:58. Anthony's not
You
gonna.
did it. And I'm going to end with this. As I said, my 30th birthday is coming up. I have deemed the theme of my 30th birthday the coronation of her, my becoming. That is my 30th theme because I am not where I want to be. I am on the precipice of getting to the path in which God has ordained for me. And this year has been a year of shedding so that I can become her.
Errin,
We're not going to do it because then we're going to end up on it. But it has been a year of shedding in order to become the person who I need to become. So thank you, Java family. Thank you, James, for supporting me, for the love that you have given to both me and Anthony and to our business. Appreciate you all immensely. And before I go, I just want to shout out 7-Eleven coffee that doesn't get enough shout out. It's underrated.
First of
Love
all,
you, Java family.
they need to send me a check. Here you go. You about to get a box.
Oh, I know. It's going to say Madam everything on it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Errin, get off of here. It's 10:59. I love you, and we'll talk soon.
Love you all. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Hopefully you all were encouraged today by that testimony from Errin. And then hopefully you got some knowledge as well from City Councilor Brian Worrell. Today was our testimony inspired civically inspired testimony Tuesday here today. So I'm glad that you all were here. Listen, I have some things to do. We will be back tomorrow, closing out this week with the usurper of my Fridays when we first started, Darren Howell, who curated the theme. I could hear you say that. Where we curated the theme Freestyle Fridays. And so Darren is coming back as he has. This will be his sixth appearance. We're closing out our 6th year in March. Can you believe that on March 25th, we begin our 7th year in this? This is crazy. Darren is coming to level set things that are going on with Toys for Tots. And my other brothers in the room, Mario and Milton, will be coming back soon. I got a lot of stuff going on, but when they come back, y'all are going to enjoy what you see and what you hear. Good to see this good brother. And let's celebrate both of them. Mario from a few months ago, hey, I'm thinking about, I just want to try a podcast, and bro, come on and test it on here. And powerful. Then we had Brother Milton, and now this brother has his own Family Tree podcast. Go follow Family Tree Movement, I believe. Go follow them on YouTube. Brother Milton is doing his first booking at hold on. Uh-oh. I just got a text. Brother Milton is where is it? Brother Milton is doing his first official appearance booking. He is doing something called The Art of Writing on December 18th, free entry at 5 p.m. at Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. Featured author Milton Dos Soto. I think I got that right. To the Junto. Every time anyway, that's our joke. Author meet and greet, free books and resources, celebrity guest journalists, Ben Original from Urban Magazine, and you must register to attend. And so keep an eye out for that for our brother Milton and Mario. Thank you all so much for what you all are doing in community. All right, folks, I'm going to get ready to go. And we will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with our brother Darren Howell. Thank you all for